Alright, so we're back in the world of Expedition 33. In today's video, we're going to be making a tier list for each of the party members. Now, I know tier lists are very subjective, and that's kind of why I was making this video. And I kind of wanted to see if it aligned with me as a player who has completed every bit of the game so far, and making their way into New Game Plus. The way I'm going to structure this tier list is based on a combination of factors. Obviously, the character power will be taken into consideration, but that's not the only thing that matters. We'll be talking about their personality, what the kit brings to the team as a whole, their introduction to the game, and a host of other factors like that. So yeah, let's begin, and as always, feel free to leave your comments and thoughts. I want to know what you guys think about the tier list, and see once again if it aligns or disaligns with what I think. Alright, so first things first is going to be Monoco, and I'm going to put Monoco, and this one's a little bit hard. I want to put him in A tier, but I'm going to put him in B tier for now, and I may make some changes later. And the reason why I'm putting Monoco in B tier is a combination of reasons. One, as a character, he does have really good power. I have hit for like 200 million with him in the end game. He can absolutely do a lot of damage. I feel like every character can do a lot of damage. I think he does require a little bit more setup than some of the other characters to really shine. But the reason why I'm putting him in B tier is a combination of reasons. The first is his introduction into the game. I think he has one of the worst introductions in terms of where he's at. He's the furthest to, he's like one of the last characters that you actually get into your party. And when he actually is introduced into the game, I feel like we're at a point where most, if not all, players have their pretty established big three who they want to play with. Typically, from what I've seen watching other creators as well as just players playing, it's almost always going to be someone like Maelle, almost always, and then like Sciel with one or the other two, which would be either Verso or it will be Lune. And in that kind of situation, I don't feel like there's a way you really want to put him into that lineup, because like Maelle's is not playable. Like, you have to have her. She gets a very strong weapon early. She's really hard carrying most of the fight. Sciel's utility and just overall, just like what she brings to the table is, is not expendable. You can't swap those two realistically, and so you're forced to choose between Lune and Verso, and those two are actually pretty hard choices, especially when it comes to Lune, because Lune is very good at kind of doing what he does to some degree. She has like a lot of support, a lot of AoE, a lot of good damage. She can break. She has like so many different things that she can bring to the table. And then having someone like Monoco, who, most importantly, and I think this is what actually hurts him the most, you have to go out of your way to kind of go get his feet. And that's really inconvenient because he has the most skills in the entire game by a large margin. And at that point in the game, you're kind of have your momentum. You're going towards the visages, and you're pushing your way into the into the closer to the end game, and you kind of get this character that you basically need to go back and go get a bunch of feet, a lot of feet you don't even know where they're located or bring to the table if they're worth. And while he's definitely versatile and he could in theory make up for Lune with his supporting stuff, it becomes a massive inconvenience to actually play around him. Realistically, what are you going to do? Are you going to continue to use the big three you already established? Verso, you probably had to swap around too, because you have to make up for Gustave, because they do have a slight different playstyle. You already have your established characters, you already did the swap, and now you need to go back and refarm. It's just such a massive headache to be able to jump in. And then he's kind of weak too, because he doesn't have his weapons. And as you continue to play in the game, like let's say you swap him in, you don't even have good weapons. Like, when we look at his weapon list, he has the least weapons in the entire game, and he only has two good weapons realistically, in my opinion, and one of them don't come until like after you beat the paintress. So it's like, Monoco as a character, very great character. He does a lot. He's versatile. He's a great character. I love what he brings to the table, but his implementation of the game is just one of those situations where he came later, and he's just not someone you want to swap into your party. And then I think his bestial system is actually kind of, I wouldn't say like complicated, but compared to the others, it can be a little bit more management, because you kind of have to manage the will a lot more than the other characters, like their whole unique gimmick, and that kind of makes it a little bit harder to play him. So that's why I'm putting him in B tier. I think he's a really cool character. I love what he brings to the table, but man, his implementation makes him really hard to want to play around. Next, we're going to be talking about Lune, and Lune is a S tier character for me. Now, from a personality standpoint, I know I didn't start Monoco with personality, but from a personality standpoint, Lune is my favorite character by quite a large margin. It's very rare in like games in general where a female character isn't written to be one of two archetypes or two personalities. One, a super pushover that is whiny and doesn't do anything, or two, the biggest bitch on the entire planet that you just don't want to interact with. Lune does not fit either of those. She stands 10 toes on what she believes in. She's a very likable character, and that's a big rarity in games where a female character is likable. And not just a female character that's likable, a stronger female character. I don't even want to say stronger female character, just a character that's like, you know, she believes in what she believes in. She's firm on what she believes in, but she's not a bitch about it. And that's something that's like so rare. So it makes her really likable. That, in addition to like her visual appearance, I really like how she floats around the map. I really like her outfits. They're really good. She has that like silk one. She has the stockings and black one I use a lot. Just like her outfits are really solid too. Hairstyles are good, and just her general character is just like a solid character all around. Talking about her spells and skills, she actually brings so much to the table. She's super versatile. I know some people only like to play her in game as like a breaker or a stunner, but I have builds with her that can do like well over 200 million damage in one tap Simon. So she actually has like a ton of build versatility. She has healing, which I think she's the best healer by a large margin. She has like channel abilities, like scaling damage abilities, multiple elements, big hit abilities, AoE clear, single target. She just does pretty much everything. Her AP, her team AP is not the greatest, I guess, compared to other characters, but what she brings to the table is just exceptional. And you get her early in the game. She's the second character you get, and I mean, I think she's the most likable character for a very good portion of the game. She never really gets unlikable to me, but yeah, she's just one of the most likable characters, and for that, I'm putting her in the S tier. Next, we're going to talk about Maelle. And Maelle is a very interesting character and what she brings to the table, and I'm going to put her in A tier. And I know people are going to say, well, Maelle is by far the strongest character, and that's part of the reason why I'm dropping her points. First off, I'd be lying to you guys if I told you I didn't have a soft spot for Jennifer English. She is my favorite voice actor, actress, whatever you want to call it, in the entire like gaming industry. Really love her voice. Really loved her in some of her past projects, and so I really like Jennifer English. Maelle as a character is a character that, in my opinion, is actually really well made. I see a lot of people say that she's annoying and she was immature, and that's kind of on par. She's 16 years old in the game. She's a kid. She's in a tough situation, and she's probably going to be pretty annoying. I remember when I was 16 years old, I was annoying. Yeah, of course, she's going to be annoying, and I think that's actually good on the actress to be able to portray a character like that. When it comes to like her visual appearance, when it comes to like her skills, her weapons and things like that, I really like them. I think they're really cool. She has really solid animations, like her last chance when she cut herself and then like all the blood goes out. That's really cool. A lot of her skills look really cool, so I do like her visual animations and things of the sort. She looks really solid. I think the problem I don't like about Maelle as a character is, and this is kind of why I dropped her down to A tier, is she feels so overly tuned compared to the other characters. And to some degree, she kind of trivialized the game. And I think that's one thing that Sandfall Interactive didn't do too well. I don't know, maybe they were trying to appeal to the casuals with her and kind of make her strong. But by the time you get to like the Genstro Arena and you play her, because I seen like 10 different creators play the game. Because I watch like Karn, I watch Sing Sing, I watch a few others. Then I have friends who play, and I don't say anything. I just watch them and see who they pick. And like 9 times out of 10, they pick Maelle to go to the arena, and she gets her weapon, and then once she gets that weapon, she just blows up everything in the game, and you kind of trivialize it. So I think Sandfall kind of dropped the ball a little bit there, because it kind of made her so overly tuned that she kind of just kills everything. And that's kind of why I don't really like her as much, because she doesn't play by the rules like a lot of characters, because all she needs is a handful of Pictos and Cheater, and she just kills everything. I went from the end game to being able to kill Simon in less than like 4 hours because I got some Pictos and I had that weapon. So that's like just how strong she is. As a character, she's cool. I love her skill set. I love everything about her, but she's just a little too overtuned. And that, for me, makes her an A tier personally. Next, let's talk about Sciel. And Sciel, she was a character I initially thought I wasn't going to like at all. And now she's a S tier character in my opinion. I don't really think I could ever play this game without her because just how good she is. From a supporting standpoint, she is just second to none. Her enabling on teammates is just so good. She becomes like one of the strongest buffers in the entire game. She has a very good variety of weapons that do some very different things. She has one that's like super supporting and that gives AP to herself and her teammates and buff and debuff enemies and allies. She has one that makes her like a rapid fire range build. She just has so many different like weapons that actually feels really good. And that's not to say the other ones don't. but she definitely does. Also, again, just her skill set is just so valuable to the team. She makes every character better, and that's something that's like super unique. Like I think Lune makes everyone survive, and Lune gives a lot of utility, but Sciel, she makes everyone better. She makes anyone who wasn't like a strong carry a egregiously strong carry. And she makes Maelle even more busted than she already is. So Sciel, just a top tier character that I think that I could never not use. Next, let's talk about Gustave. Now Gustave, I'm putting him in B tier. Now I didn't like Gustave character as much, if I'm being honest. He felt a little bit awkward in my opinion, like early on in the game. He also was a little bit too whiny for my taste. I guess, I don't know if this is just a gaming thing. Do there always have to be one character that's like a complete ass or a complete like pushover? And then one character that's really cool? Because I felt like that was kind of the dynamic with Lune and Gustave. He felt a little bit unlikable, especially when he was like trying to find Maelle. And he kind of stayed relatively annoying. Like he would roll his eyes when things were happening. And it was like, he's not very likable. I'm sure because they were going to kill him off, I guess you get sympathy for him and you like him. I mean, he does do something noble at the end before he dies, so I guess that's the thing. But generally, I don't know. I didn't really like him as a character. I mean, Charlie Cox, he portrayed him really well, by the way, Charlie. But I don't know. I didn't like the way he was written for the most part, and I don't know. Didn't love him too much. And from a combat perspective, I also didn't really click with his combat style either. I mean, I kind of just used him as a mark bot, and then I just use Overload. I mean, he doesn't get as much playtime as Verso. But I don't know. I think he's a B tier. Maybe I should have played him a little bit more. Maybe I'll have a different perspective when I do my New Game Plus run. That's my opinion on Gustave. Finally, on Verso, I'm also going to put him in A tier next to Maelle. I really like Verso as a character. He was very dark and mysterious. He was a character that really, and this is kind of something they said before the launch of the game, which is kind of funny. They were like, this is a dark, mysterious character, and you don't really know what he brings to the table. And he actually had a lot of mystery, a lot of secrets, and a lot of things like that. He also has some of the coolest weapons in the game, which is actually really cool. The light one, that's really, really dope. I really like that. I like his skill set. They feel a little bit different from Verso by a large margin. And I actually like his like gimmick a lot more than Gustave's. And because it's just like more scaling and he can actually be a solo carry DPS. He has a large variety of builds. I think when it comes to Verso specifically, I like him way more than I liked Gustave. And I think Ben Starr did a really good job at just like portraying the character really well as well. Not to say Charlie Cox didn't do well on Gustave, but I think Ben Starr did really well on and there you have it, guys. That is my tier list for Expedition 33. I mean, I like every single character in the game. They all have their own like uniqueness about them. They all felt very different. Their voice actors were all great. I really enjoyed what they brought to the table. And the game was just an exceptional game. I would like to know what you guys think about my tier list. If you would rate them kind of similarly, that kind of stuff. And yeah, just let me know down in the comments. That'll be cool to see. If you are enjoying the Claire Ipskier Expedition 33 content, I have a ton of builds, guides, and things on the channel already. So make sure you go check those out. And maybe even subscribe, because we're going to be making a few more videos before we move on to some other games you're probably going to be playing in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, show some support. Would appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next Expedition 33 video very soon.